guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today in the Ask SSM video series, got an email from a subscriber. This is a guy who definitely needs our help. And he wrote in this morning and I bumped him up to the top of the list to make sure we can help him ASAP. This guy is 34 years old. He's been married for like 7 years now. He's known his wife since they were dating in college. He has 2 boys, 4 and 6 years old. And up until Thanksgiving dinner, he thought he had a very good marriage. Until, guess what, he discovers after his wife had a lot to drink and basically passed out, that she's cheating on him. You see, our guy here, he's been following the channel for a couple of years now. His brother recommended it, and he's watched it because it's been entertaining and things to learn and all that. And he never thought they'd be writing in about a situation. Well, here he is, because he's found that his wife's a big giant cheater. But his biggest issue is he's done with her. And that, thank God for that, he's not kidding himself that it's going to work out. However, his big thing is, it's now the holidays. And the last thing he wants to do is depart and hurt his boys during the holidays before Christmas, because they're little kids. And so he's writing in to share his story, look for advice, but also on how best to handle the situation. Should he, wait until after Christmas, which will be very difficult to do, but he'll do it, or, bail as soon as he can. So it starts off, says here, hello SSM. My name is Brad, my code name, and I've been watching your show since 2023. It was recommended to me from my older brother, and I've enjoyed all the crazy stories filled with good common sense advice ever since. Well, thank your older brother for me. Shout out to the older brother. I'm 34 years old, I've been married for 7 years, and have 2 sons ages 6 and 4 years old. Never in a million years did I ever think I'd be writing into you with a story until I discovered that my wife was having an affair on Thanksgiving. Oh, God, that sucks. Thanksgiving has officially been ruined for you for life. You're always going to associate Thanksgiving with this discovery. Discovering this from a woman who I've known since college, started a family with, and truly thought we were different, broke my heart and nearly caused me to pass out upon finding out. This all happened after we hosted Thanksgiving for her family at our house. Throughout the day, she had a lot to drink with her younger sisters, and I was more than happy to let her have her fun while her dad and I cooked and cleaned up the mess from the big feast. Well, that's good of you. Let her have a good time with her sisters and all that. You and Dad are taking care of things. That's cool. Unfortunately, she's not someone that you should be so generous with. After everybody left the house, I put the boys to bed, and she passed out on the couch. It was then that I noticed that her phone was going off like crazy. It's always the phone. I figured it was conversations with her friends and her sisters, etc. about the holidays, and after several minutes of this, curiosity got the better of me, perhaps after listening to your videos for 2 years. So I grabbed her phone. Well, I could see lots of messages and notifications from Instagram, Facebook, and messages from her friends. I noticed one particular message that really caught my eye from Brenda. He's using Brenda in quotes here. I've never known her to have any friends or coworkers named Brenda. In that moment, another message came from Brenda asking, when can I see you again? He's like, uh-oh, great, my wife's a lesbian. Well, sometimes these gals will put a girl's name as cover for a guy's name. At this point, I clicked on the message and could see a long chain of texts going back to early July. And Brenda is clearly a woman. Clearly is not a woman. Well, the old trick. You see so many patterns in these stories. It's amazing. The women think, oh, I'm gonna have my affair partner's name be a girl's name and I won't get caught. I'm sorry, dude. That sucks. Thanksgiving before the holidays. I mean, it sucked to find this out any time of the year, but especially now. Well, since my wife was passed out, I read through everything, and needless to say, our marriage is over. There were countless texts with flirting, making plans, talking about me, etc., etc. Oh yeah, what were they saying? I could also see where many messages were deleted, probably pictures. I'm guessing Brenda is a guy that she met through work, either at work functions or during work travel. She does travel on occasion. There were also messages about her checking her Snapchat, which I didn't know she had or saw on her phone. She probably installs it and reinstalls it. She'll go check pictures and send pictures and then uninstall it to cover her tracks. As SSM, I was both shocked and heartbroken here. As I said, I never thought I'd be another guy writing into about a story. I really thought we had a good marriage and family. Sure, no marriage or family is perfect, but I really thought we were different. Bro, so many guys have said those exact words are pretty darn close to that. Yeah, man. I mean, again, you're 34. You said you've known her since, I guess, college. So we're looking at 12, 13, 14 years. You've been married for 7 years. Who knows how long things have like this been going on, either in your marriage or before you're together. And I gotta say the obvious, and I know you don't want me to say it, but I gotta say it. How do you know that your boys that you love more than anything are your boys? I hope to hell they're your kids. I really do. But you gotta find out. I know you know this. Well, after reading everything, I took out my phone and took pictures of everything I could. Very smart, dude. Thank God she was passed out, huh? I then used all the strength I could find, and I put the phone down, put her to bed, and acted like I didn't know anything. That night I barely slept, and part of me wanted to pack up and leave right away. However, the thought of leaving my boys and doing anything rash kept me at home. That's smart, man. Look, nobody could blame you if you wanted to pack up your stuff and leave that night. But if it was just the two of you, that'd be another story. But you got your boys to worry about. Well, the next morning, we were both off work that day, and I slept in while in her hangover. She did manage to get up and feed the kids as they were up pretty early. At least she's taking care of the kids. I avoided her as long as I could, and thankfully between her hangover and doing online shopping, she really didn't notice me very much beyond a good morning kiss. And it was the worst kiss I ever had. Yeah, anyway. It's the last thing you'd want to do. I know we are finished, as I will never stay with a cheater. Good for you, man. Many guys would be trying to find a way to make this work. But the thought of being away from my boys has been agony. We are in a no-fault divorce state, shocker, but we both make similar salaries and have pretty equal amounts in our retirement accounts, etc. I met up with my brother and showed him all the evidence, and he told me I can stay with him when I'm ready. That is a good bro. Good. He promised me he wouldn't tell our parents or anybody else until I'm ready. He's a great older brother. You're darn right he is. SSM, my question to you, as well as the community, is this. Should I get ready to bail now or wait until after the holidays? I want out of there ASAP, but I do not want to ruin Christmas for my boys. I've already been searching for a lawyer in town, as well as getting my ducks in a row while trying to act normal, but it's been very hard. My wife is not stupid and has asked me a few times, is everything all right? Any advice and suggestion on how to get through this will be greatly appreciated. Brad. Holy crap. Dude, I'm sorry to hear that. I wish you were one of the guys that listened to my channel and never had any problems happen, you know? But, and again, on Thanksgiving, you're never going to ever see Thanksgiving again the same. Well, man, so I'm going to jump all over the place with this. But first and foremost, if it was any other time of the year, then I would say, okay, you know, talk to a lawyer, get your ducks in a row, get any financial documents you need, all these little things there, get your affairs in order, and bail. But given that it's December 1st, and Christmas is not for 25 days, and frankly the holidays really won't end until January after New Year's, for your boys, they're 4 and 6 years old, I would stay. Okay, some people couldn't do that, and that's understandable, but they're your boys. And you want the last thing you want is them to remember all the turmoil going on at Christmas, and they will remember, even though they're little kids. So, in my opinion, you need to find strength you never knew you had, and put on the freaking act like everything's okay for the next at least 32 to 33 days to January 2nd or 3rd, you know? And it's going to be very, very hard. I don't know how good of a poker player you are, but you better become a good one real quick. And you said to yourself, already your wife's noticing something's up. And this purely proves the point. Women aren't dumb. They notice things. Women are more tuned to things like that. Little subtle changes, much more than your average guy is. And because she's a freaking WHORE, a big giant cheater and homewrecker, she's probably more sensitive to any possible changes in your behavior in case she might know. You know? I mean, thank the Lord she got so trashed on Thanksgiving and passed out that you're able to go through her phone. And obviously she hasn't noticed anything unusual, otherwise she probably would have said something by now, you know. But so you're gonna have to put on the best act in the world, you know. In fact, maybe you could totally flip the script in terms of, like, obviously you're avoiding her and all that, to all of a sudden kind of love bombing her Make her think that everything, not so much that she thinks is obvious, but you get the point, Going in for the hugs and the kiss and the I love yous and shit like that, or text her how her day is going, shit like that, you got to throw her off, at least as best you can. And then what I'd be doing is just behind the scenes while you're taking care of business, running the house as a dad, going to work, preparing the holidays and the gifts for the boys. Again, meet with the lawyer, find out where you stand, what your options are, if you both make similar incomes, hopefully that means that, you won't have to pay an alimony. We can hope. And if your retirement accounts and other accounts are pretty similar in your names, then hopefully, again. Now, as for, you didn't mention if you owned a house. I'm going to just assume you are. And that probably, given how things are, is going to go to her. And probably the court won't want the boys to leave the house, and she's going to get the house, and they're going to stay with her. And that is a load of crap. Maybe I'm wrong. And maybe you have the ability to pull some things behind the scenes. I don't know. Maybe you can stay in the house and get her out, because frankly, she should get out and you have the boys. But I don't know how things are going to go. And that's going to depend on your lawyer. But regardless, man, for the next month, 32 days, because it's December 1st, you got to play it cool. And again, maybe you consult multiple lawyers in your area, and that way she can't go to them. Free consultation. Perhaps you go to get a female attorney, because they tend to fight fire with fire with women and their bullshit. That's what I tend to have noticed through all the stories I've covered over the years. And then, I'd go to your brother to be your sounding board, to get things off your chest. That's awesome that he's going to let you stay with him. That way you don't have to get an apartment and do all that and pay for, obviously, the house. Because obviously, until you're divorced, you're going to be paying for part of the mortgage and the bills and everything like that. At least you can stay with him essentially for free when you're ready, of course. And definitely be a great, gracious guest to him, and I know you are. And that's cool that he's going to keep it quiet. Because I'm assuming your family is going to be over at your house at some point, your parents. And the last thing you want then is them knowing what's going on and tipping off your wife early. So if your brother can keep it quiet, that's great. Go to him, get off your chest. And I'd get everything together. I would be making, at the very least, all the copies of your tax returns, important documents. If you keep your Social Security card and your birth certificate and your passport in the house or somewhere, make sure, or if they're in a safe deposit box, make sure you can have access to them when you finally bail, so she can't hold hostage your Social Security card or birth certificate or all those important documents. Tax documents, all things on the kids. I would make sure that any pictures that you have of your kids. This sounds crazy, but I've heard this before, where fathers leave and they don't have any pictures of the kids because they're all on the wife's computer or something like that, or just in frames, and they can't have pictures of their kids. Make sure you have those. All sorts of things that you're going to have, so when you have her served or whatever, that you have everything ready, that she can't just hold hostage. And they will, And I'd be prepared to certainly control the narrative. And since you watch this channel, I'm sure you know all this, but I'm going to reiterate this. And this goes for anybody in this situation. When it's time, make sure that everybody knows your family, her family, all that. You got copies of the text and everything. I don't know the details, but I'm sure they're not pretty. I'm so proud that you were cool. And remember to take the pictures of everything and have evidence. That's key. A lot of guys, in the heat of the moment, don't think that, or they might just freak out and wake her up in her drunken stupor. You kept cool. That is impressive. I don't know if you would have done that without watching the show and hearing these stories or not, but that's really good. And again, just get through this month. If this happened in July, then I would say, okay, in 2 weeks, get out of there. But no. Stay strong for your boys. And I'm pretty sure the majority of guys out there, particularly the fathers listening to this, would agree with me there. And then when it happens, then you do what you got to do. And again, I'm not a parent, so I don't understand this stuff to be a parent, but, I would make it as clear as can be to your boys that you love them, and you're there for them and all that, and then I'd be doing everything you can to fight for them. And be prepared for her to play dirty, because that's just what they do. Be prepared for her to blame it all on you, that you didn't do this, or you didn't do that, or all that type of stuff to justify her actions, because women and accountability. But fortunately, you have I don't know what she's like. I don't know if she's one of these people that has to look perfect to the world, But if that's the case, well, you having that evidence can definitely help you have some leverage with her, because A lot of women, they really want to put on the perfect show for the world on social media and look great with their various groups in the community and all that crap. But if you got evidence, and you do, of her infidelity and all her bullshit, everything like that, and I'm sure you'll be able to gather more, I might add, that can help you. You know, and I also would recommend over the next month, get more information. I mean, unless, at the end of the day, you're divorcing her. That is clear, and you got evidence. But if you want to get more information and find out who this Brenda character is, great. I mean, shit, maybe they work together. You know, I don't know if they work together. She met him in travels, like you suggested, for business. But if they work together, and this, you know, that could be a big no-no, that they're having an affair with her job. But I wouldn't be trying to tank her job, at least until after you're divorced. Then you can wreak havoc. Go fucking Nagasaki on her ass. But until then, gotta play it cool. And there may be some times where you may find that she's really catching on to what's going on. Well, be prepared for anything. That's all I can say. So, bro, I'm sorry this happened to you. I'm sorry it would suck anytime, but especially before the holidays. But this is really going to test what you're made of. And if you've handled it very well so far, but just take it one day at a time. Know that you got people that care about you out there. You got a community here that's got your back. We now know your story. We're going to be rooting for you. And if you need to write in to me to ask me some questions without publishing it, I'll be happy to help you out. But down the road, if you want to write in, like if you need help, you need advice in 2 weeks, you think you're going to crack, and you want to send a story, we'll help you out. But otherwise, you got a community here, got your back. And after Christmas or so, if you want to write in with some updates that makes you feel better, great. No problem. If you don't, okay, we'll always be wondering. So that's what I think, man. But you're going to get through this, but take it one day at a time. But you got to be strong for your boys. Make a countdown. You know, everyone does the count. The Christians do the countdown to Christmas, you know, the Advent calendar, where you can do your countdown to divorcing the bitch. And that'll get you through it. One day, get through every day. That's your mission. And hopefully then you can start your new life. And at that point then, you know, we can get into that, what you got to do and to make it through. And you will be okay. So, all right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Please chime in and let this guy know what you think. Give him some support. This is like the worst time of the year for this shit to happen. Seems like every year I go through one of these at Christmas or Thanksgiving about this type of thing. And it's unfortunate, but that's the world we're in. And definitely give him a shout out. Any advice, guys have been through this. And let them know if you want to, you know, hear any updates or stuff like that. Because a lot of guys going through this is very therapeutic to write this stuff down. A lot of guys that do, I cover lots of stories, obviously, on Reddit from my other channels. And a lot of guys will do these multi-updates because it helps them out having somebody to talk to and a community getting advice. So you're going to help him out. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.